Okay, Rachel, let's go ahead and take a look. I've got your work up. Boy, this looks good. Nice job. Nice job. I've got several comments, so give me a few minutes here. Let's start with the front end. Thank you very much for including the front. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit, which I'll probably have to zoom in here a little bit, but maybe not. Okay, so I don't know if you recall the comments that I had made, but the front cover, I think there's just a little fragmented. Okay, so in other words, we've got this shape here, then we've got this shape here, we have this shape here, we have type here, we have type here, we have this vertical line right here. It all converges to what would be considered to be visual clutter. Now remember, the term visual clutter is not meant to be a derogatory term at all. That is meant to be a term. It's actually an industry specific term that refers to too much visual weight and too many elements converging in one specific area. So if you had a layout and a portfolio reviewer said, there's a lot of visual clutter, can you explain that? They're not trying to um, use that as a discouraging comment, as I'm not trying to use it as a discouraging comment, but more of a descriptive comment. So we're going to reduce the visual clutter here. And I'm going to say, see this little illustration here? This one right here, let's get rid of that completely. See this horizontal line right here? Let's get rid of that completely. Continue this illustration. So let's just let that curve continue, and that's the only thing you have on the front cover. Take discovery of a gravitational wave and kind of pull it down a little bit, maybe even align it with the baseline right here, and just discovery of a gravitational, place this on top, left align it, boop, 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 right there. And I think that's going to be it's going to really open up the negative space associated with the front cover. It's going to be so inviting. You're going to love it. I think I already do. So think about that. Love the effects. Love the effects. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the back. Now, this is where I'm going to have to do some zooming in. And this, let me see something here. This, I didn't want to do that. Let me do this. Okay, JPEG, darn it. Oh gosh, this is why it's so important to post PDFs. So let me see. Let's try to download this and see if we can get a better view. Otherwise, well, you're familiar with your work, but I don't think our peers will be able to see what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and open this and see if we can't get it better. Hey, that was the front. I didn't want the front. Okay, I wanted the back. Sorry about that. Gosh, I'm sorry. Okay, final iteration, post front side, final iteration. There's what we want. Right. Gosh, I'm so sorry, Rachel. Okay, so let's download this guy. Let's open this guy up. Okay, that's what I'm after. Okay, now if we take a look at the front, now remember we spent a lot of time talking about visual correspondence, right? And it's a very, very, very powerful, powerful tool. What we have here, if we look at the front of the poster here, we don't, so the elements you're using for the timeline, let me do this. Okay, this is interesting because based on how you could even reconfigure this to try to kind of maybe even duplicate one of these lines a little bit. So this thing would come like this a little bit more. See how it's a little bit more circular like that? And that would be really excellent visual correspondence and continuation. So that thing would go like this. The timeline would look like this, making it appear more like that line or one of these lines right here, right? That's going to be effective. This little atomic figure right here, it's nowhere in the front, so it just doesn't make sense that it's on the back of the poster. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if it would even, it's to the point where I would rather not even see a signifier, maybe even just a line pointing to that. Just, you know what I'm saying? Because right now there is no continuation, just kind of came up out of nowhere. Do you see what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. If not, let me know, because it's really important that you understand that. Yeah, listen, I just got done with my last critique saying it's so important to try to set up your old style figures and your small caps. And it's that important. Rachel. It is that important, and the reason is because portfolio reviews and potential hiring professionals are going to be looking. They're going to be looking for something like that, and then it really, when I see, if I look at work that I'm maybe interviewing a potential um, designer, or if I'm collaborating with the designer, if I'm looking at employing an intern in any capacity, if I'm looking at work, portfolio work, that's one of the things I look for, is that the use of old style figures, the use of small caps, N dashes, M dashes, proper punctuation, etc. If not, I kind of move on. So it's really, really important. That said, let's go ahead and take a look. Now here I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let's take a look at, okay, timeline. So yes, definitely right there, old style figures, right there. Born in Berlin, Germany, good. Good, 1939. See, this is inconsistent, because right now you've got September 29th, 1932. Okay, then over here you just go to 1939. So theoretically, what you could do is just go 1932, born in Berlin, so that you're consistent here, right? Okay, so then we have this. I would drop this in to the next line, so you don't have that widow right there. You don't have a period here. You have a period here, a period here. Period, it looks like most of the timeline entries have a period. So if you're going to use them, and make sure you use them in all. So you're using them in all of them, or you're not using them in all of them. But be consistent. Okay, that space right there is the space between this first line in America is greater than the space here. That points to setting up paragraph styles. So definitely you want to set paragraph styles up, because next week I'm quite likely going to ask you to see your InDesign file. Okay, and I'll be looking for paragraph styles therein. So keep that in mind. Okay, old style figures right there. That should be an N dash. And is it Nancy? If you take a look at the Welcome to Week 4 video, you'll see how to set M dash, N dash, small caps, all caps, and old style figures. So that's really important. Take a look at that. Okay, I don't think this left alignment, this right align rag left and right line left, I don't think it's working. I think, let's zoom out so we can see. I just don't think it's working. I think it creates a little bit of a kind of a weird balance thing. And plus it's inconsistent, because this is left align, these are all left align, and these two are right align. Let's right align these. No, it's not going to cause a problem at all, I promise you. Let's zoom back in. Keep on taking closer looks. That's a widow. You don't want that. You do not want a widow. Ever, ever. Widows and orphans are big, big no-nos. Honestly, and here's another horror story, and I don't mean to sound like these horror stories, but it's another thing I look at. If I see a widow, I kind of start looking at the next applicant, so to speak. So really, really understand the importance of typography as it reflects you as a designer. Understand the importance of typography as a attention to detail. Understand the fine nuance of typography, because people are going to be looking at it. Okay, your average layman isn't going to know the difference between an N dash and an M dash, but a graphic designer, an art director, a creative director certainly is. So you definitely want to elevate yourself to the next level, a level of professionalism that is indicative of your typesetting. Okay. I'm not, oh, right there, yep, we need small caps too, MIT, LIGO, yep, small caps and old style numerals, so important. Okay, let's jump back down. Let's look at the body copy. Now, of course, the biggest problem with the body copy here, and let's zoom in, is the character count, line length, too long. And what do we know about, let me see if I can zoom out here a little. What do we know about character count and line length? We know that this is too long. This is well over 100 characters. Optimal character count is anywhere between 49 and 69 characters. Depending on the target audience, it could be a little bit more, typically not any less, even for an older audience, 49 characters. You might reduce that a little bit depending on need, but you definitely don't want to go over 100 characters. This is clearly over 100. And when I say character count, that means the number of characters, including punctuation and spaces. So if you're over that, if you're over the 49 to 69 mark, consider a double column. And I definitely recommend that here. Oh, and just so you know, I just almost missed a teaching moment. The reason being is this. Let me just let me do this. By the time the viewer gets to this line, fourth line or so, they've already gone from here all the way back over here, found the line, read all the way back here, do it again all the way back here, find the right line, come back, do it, and then do it again. By the time they get to the fourth line, their eyes are tired, literally. I mean, that's a physical phenomenon. And so we want to reduce that because, of course, we want the viewer to read. Okay, so definitely I would go for at least 2 columns here of type. Now, a couple of other things. These regs, the regs aren't bad. They're not bad. So you're okay there, but don't forget the regs. You don't want any drastic angles or any great distance of variable distance between the shortest and longest lines. Okay, right here, this is a paragraph break right here, but you're not indicating a paragraph break here. There's 2 ways to indicate paragraph breaks. One is a indent, the other is a space before. Now, I recommend a space before, and that's my personal preference, but you're welcome to use an indent if that is your preference. If you indent, don't go more than 4 characters deep, especially since you're going to be doing a double column, 2 columns here. And if you do a space before, you will set that as a paragraph style. So keep that in mind. Okay, when you do that, it's going to require more space here. So I'm wondering what the typeface size is here. I think that these are really super heavy. There's a couple of text entries in here that are really heavy. That's really wordy for a timeline entry. Remember, timeline's just a hit list. It's a bullet list. It's just the main facts. Okay, so we can reduce the text size here a little bit. We can move this up a little. So what we're going for is you can even reduce this whole composition from here up. Okay, increase a little negative space, then give you a little bit more room for typesetting down here. So you can indeed place a space before in the paragraphs. Other than that, okay, I may have mentioned this already. I don't, but that is an N dash. N as in Nancy. So again, check that the dashes. That's a week 4 video. There's a section in there on how to set up your N dashes and the correct use of dashes. Okay, those are my recommendations. Really, this has come so far. I just got to share this with you too as well, because I've shared this with a couple of other students in this forum. But it's one of the reasons I love teaching typography and layout is because I get to watch students become better designers right in front of my very eyes. It's awesome. It's so awesome. And you certainly are. You're a much better designer than you were 2 weeks ago. Why? Because you're paying attention to type. And that's just fantastic. Typography is, bar none, the most important part of graphic design. Anybody that tells you different doesn't know graphic design. I promise you that. Typography is critical. So think about that. I just noticed one thing here. Take this line right here and just tuck it behind there. Just tuck it behind, so it's obscured by the frame, not in front of the frame. I think that'll help. All right. So again, those are my comments and recommendations. And so at this point, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, clarifications, any of the above, please let me know, and I'll be more than glad to clarify. Okay, great job. Thank you very much.